it was probably, I know it was pre-COVID. I don't know how many years before COVID, couple maybe, I don't know. I think I've been brewing kombucha for probably 7 years at least. And I've pretty much always had bottles in my refrigerator. There's been a couple times where it's just, I can't do this right now, or it's just too much. And kombucha is very forgiving. It's very easy. It's easy to put aside for a while and brew it later. People get all freaked out by the scobies, and my SCOBY here today is very sad because it got shook up and it got cold and it dropped to the bottom. So usually they're floating on top and they get pretty thick. I don't know how much is that.
That'll be the first question.
So,
what's SCOBY?
a SCOBY, honestly, I don't know. It's this rubbery thing that has like bacteria and yeast and all the things that grow the kombucha. If you look up anything online about kombucha, you can learn a lot. I have not taken in a formal course. I just am self-taught, but I know it's a very good probiotic for our gut. It's a sweet tea that is sort of fermented. That's kind of what I know. And it said in one place the history goes back to 220 BC in China. I don't know where they came up with it. I don't know if this is an original part of a SCOBY from back in China before Christ was born. I don't know, but I'd like to say it is. And they say it's anti-inflammatory. It's full of B vitamins, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, folic acid, vitamin C, chock full of vitamins. I've never tested it. I'm not a scientist. I don't really know. It talks about cancer prevention. I don't know. And antioxidants, which is really good for our bodies to clean out any bad stuff. It boosts our immune system, lowers cholesterol, blood pressure. I mean, this is what they say. I don't know. I don't have high blood pressure, so maybe that's why. I don't know. It's good for your liver health, blood sugars, and a plethora, even like depression and that kind of stuff, which I should be drinking because I've been sad because my mom passed away in December and life's been really hard without her. So have some grace with me.
Yeah. You got it.
Okay? Because I don't know. I love this. It's my passion, so I think that's why I can teach it so well. So I just kind of do things automatic. So tonight, what I did bring to do all of it, I'm hoping that we'll get through it, and I'm just going to turn this water on right now so that it'll boil, and then we can, I'm going to do the first brew. So what I'm going to do tonight is I am going to show you what I would do. Like my tea is ready to go. This tea I probably would have brewed probably another 5 to 10 days. In the winter, it's a little cooler, and all of this is written in here. I sort of took a lot of this from a website called You Brew Kombucha, which I thought I put it on here. Yes, I did. And that one I found is really easy to follow and very intuitive and very helpful in teaching. It taught me a lot. And there was some today I started reading, like continuous brew kombucha, which I think I might like because I'm constantly brewing it. And so that might be another thing. Instead of doing them in batches, just I have a 2-gallon with a spigot, and that would work good for continuous brew, but we're gonna stick with this for now. So basically what we're gonna do, there's 2 fermentation processes for kombucha. You will need a SCOBY. You're going to need 2 cups of the tea, and I do have, I think there's like 9 or 10 of them in this box. If you want to purchase one to start and get going, you can. I want $10. If you don't want to pay $10, just tell me you can't afford it, and I'll give it to you, whatever.
The SCOBY?
The SCOBY with the tea. It takes a lot to get a lot of SCOBYs going, and it was kind of hard to get that group together, but we did it. So I had another batch of you can call it what they call is a SCOBY hotel and store them, and I've done that, but this one it just wasn't working right. It was not building. I added more tea to it, and I just pitched it all my SCOBY hotel, and I'm like, bye guys, I don't know if you're not gonna work. So I just threw them away and took my fresh ones. So I've been working on that since we've talked to kind of get my SCOBYs together, because it's nice to have something to start with. So what we're gonna do tonight is I'm gonna start, this is ready to go. I've wrapped my jars now because my house is cold in the winter and cold in the summer with the air conditioning. And it's all in here, but kombucha likes to brew around 75, they say, and it's on here, 70 to 90 basically. I find mine brews the best around 86 in there. Otherwise it's too slow and it takes forever. It might be different, your water might be different, your tea might have a little different acid to it that you use. So it's real flexible. I mean, it's trial and error. You know, it's taken me, I test it all the time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the first brew. And it says on there, I kind of did, it's boiling. I usually do this in 2 batches, like I do 2 gallons at once, so I have to my brain's gotta switch to just 1 gallon. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the 4 cups of the hot water, we're gonna do the first brew, we're gonna start that, which is F1, which I think I have on your thing, I don't know.
Yep, at the top.
Materials, yes. So to make, sorry guys. So to make the concentrated tea, we're gonna boil the 4 cups of water, which I have here that I just put on here. Hopefully it's hot enough. I do it on my stove, and water is really important. I don't know if I wrote that in here, but it should be filtered water. I live in the country. I have not a lot of iron in my water. We do have a water softener. I just take it out of my refrigerator, but sometimes when I brew my tea, I just take it out of the faucet. But city water that's been treated with any chlorine or anything like that, it's not gonna work. It's gonna kill your bacteria, and you want your bacteria to be alive. If you live in the country, kudos to you. If you have a Berkey, is that what they're called, where the water filter, that would work. And just kind of be cautious about that. And so sometimes if you can't get your scobies to grow or your tea to work, it could be because the water you're using. If you have a friend who lives in the country, get a gallon of water from them, or whatever. I do usually use it out of my cold water when I cool it down. Like these jars are from my refrigerator, and it just goes through a filter. I don't know if it helps or not, but it does. I do change my filter. So what we're gonna do is, I've got it written in here, it's 2 to 3 tablespoons of tea. It's not rocket science. I don't strictly measure, I just scooped, I put 3 heaping teaspoons in this one here. I buy these little bags online. I got them through Amazon, 2.5 by 3 or 3 by 4, I don't know. But make sure they're big enough, because if you buy smaller tea bags, if you're gonna loose leaf tea, they expand a lot, so you'll need a lot of room in the bag. You'll see when we do it. And I buy these, they're really cheap. I bought a pack of 300, when I first started doing this 7 years ago, and I still have 150, I don't know. But I brew a lot. And I just kind of pull it shut a little bit, and I use a stapler. They say not to use a lot of metal, but I do staple mine shut. And I usually do 3 of these with a lot in them. And the tea that you use, I like organic tea. The 2 that I'm using today, I buy it through Frontier Co-op. And if you ever want to be what do you use? How can I get it? I order this online. There's a lot of information, so I hope I don't go too long. But these 2 bags I just emptied. So my favorite kombucha tea that I've tried, I've done a lot, is Ceylon black or orange pekoe tea. It just makes it fizzier, it tastes good, it brews good. I don't know why, so I always have a lot of this in there. I do like an English breakfast tea if I can find an organic one. This is an Irish breakfast, this other one that I'm gonna use with it. But play around with it. I wouldn't use anything with bergamot oil in, or flavored tea like raspberry tea or anything like that. I would strictly use a black tea, whatever your preference is. And if you don't like how it is, or try something else, that's okay. And you can read all about that online too. I mean, they'll give you so many great ideas. That You Brew Kombucha is a great place to go. So that one's there. And I'm gonna put 1 more scoop of this. I'm gonna do 2 bags in here. gonna do one more scoop of this because I wanna make sure I have enough of the orange pekoe. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if it is or not. I'm a tea nut. I don't drink coffee anymore. I drink tea loose leaf every day in little things. And I would not brew it in a, this is a bigger one, so I'm just gonna put a couple scoops in. I wouldn't brew it in anything metal. They talk about using like a different strainer with the metal mesh, but I've also heard things about that metal things aren't good for kombucha. I've not used it, so I can't. I mean, you can try it. You can try anything. But let's see what I should. Okay, so that is gonna go, and we're gonna do 4 cups. Hopefully we'll have 4 cups in here.
Oh, we got a question.
Yes.
Can you just re-say the name of that first tea that you said you really like?
It is just, it's this one, I get it through Frontier Co-op. They have it at the Natural Food Co-op, I'm pretty sure in Litchfield, because they buy this brand, but I do orders through here, so if anybody wants to buy a pound, I think the 1 pound bag is like 20 bucks or less. It's a really good deal for organic. It just is. I really like this. And I just put in an order, but if I get enough people to order, I only need $250 to get free
Is
shipping.
that 1 pound what you're
This
holding
is
up?
what, this was a 1 pound bag, yeah, 16 ounces. It says Ceylon black tea, it's high grown, and this is the Fair Trade Organic. I like this one. Any of the organic teas, and I actually have a couple different ones. I usually put this on the top.
Can
So
you just say where you ordered them from?
Frontier Co-op wholesale is where I go, and I have a few people that we go in and I say, I'm ready to put in an order, like I needed tea a few weeks ago, and there's like 4 or 5 of us that order on there, and they have tons of different things, but I get my tea through there, so. And you can use tea bags if you want, that's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, you don't have to use organic, it's my choice, but I just, why would I put something else in my body? Okay, we got like 15 minutes, I was gonna set my timer on my clock, but I'm not, so like at about, almost 10 after, this should be ready to go. So this is how I start out with my brewing, and this is gonna be ready to go. It's pretty sweet. Usually, I used to have a jar like this that had a spigot on the bottom that I could taste it. And that finally broke, and I was so sad. And to find a new jar like that is like 30 bucks. I'm like, no. I found these 4 on Uline. I can get them for less than 10 bucks a piece if I buy 4 at a time. And I usually will take my turkey baster if I want to taste it, because usually you want to kind of taste things as you go. So this one has a SCOBY in it. So we are going to step to ferment 2. I'm going to put this in a jar while that is brewing for 15 minutes. So we're going to do second fermentation. I don't know what period it is on you guys. Let me see. Second, it should say F2. Second fermentation bottling. So, and with the bottles, I ordered these white ones online. They're not my favorite. What I do like about them is I can see what's in there. I feel like they don't hold a fizz and they don't seal as good as, this one's not even working really well. Just your wire. I won't use that one. They don't get as tight as the other ones I have, but that one's pretty good. The bottles, also a bottle brush. If you cannot buy like a long neck bottle brush in a store, if you can, I'd be shocked. I had to buy this one online at Amazon, I think I got it. But you want it to be able to get all the way down in there and scrub your bottles out. I do not put my bottles in the dishwasher. I use super hot water and gloves. I'm wearing gloves today because I wash so many hot things that I have a couple cracks in my fingers. Usually I just keep my hands really, really washed. And if you do wear gloves, I rinsed and rinsed and rinsed these and rubbed them until there's like bubbly stuff that comes off of them because they're dipped in who knows what. So I rinse that all off. Usually I don't at home. I just use a lot of paper towels and I wash my hands constantly. Yeah. So to get the bottles opened, if you take your bottles down to where the 2 pieces are together, like if I brought this over to this side, it's a hassle. It doesn't, like these you can get to the other side. So you'll find it, you'll figure it out, but it saves you a lot if you always open it towards this and not pull it the opposite way. This one doesn't do it, but those do. So anyway, so we're gonna put these all together. A little funnel is really helpful, like a small, this I got, I think on that You Brew Kombucha has really got a lot of good things. I got the wrap, bottle jar wrap. You don't have to have a jar wrap, but it helps. And then there's also, and there's all this is in there. And then I like the stickers that show you the temperature. It's not really super accurate, but it's pretty close. And then this is Celsius, so I have to do the math. And anywhere between 22, I think it is, 22 and 32 Celsius is between 70 and 90, and that's where you want your tea to be brewing at. And when we mix it all together, that's where we have it. So, okay, so what I would do when I'm home, I will start that, get it going. This is ready. I find this pot here works the best. I do a double. This will fit 4. I do it double, so it'll pretty much fit 4 cups of tea and my SCOBY's in it. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll do my second brew, and what I'll do is I'll reach in. This is, my SCOBY fell apart. This is the SCOBY that formed at the top of this last one. Usually they're about a 1/2 inch thick, but it needs another week to brew. But it actually tasted pretty good when I tried it the other day. And sometimes I just let them pile up, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to reach this without getting my glove all full of tea. So you can see this SCOBY has like a darker layer. This was the one on the bottom. This is the older one, and I just kind of let them layer in there sometimes till they're about a couple inches thick, because then your tea brews faster, it gets busier. It just ferments better and faster. So, but you do need the 2 cups of tea and a SCOBY to start a batch. So I put those in there, and I'm gonna stir this up. There's still a little bit of a SCOBY in here, but I'm just gonna leave it in there for now. And this is where I would wash my hands. I'm just gonna get everything sticky. I'm gonna take this wrap off. I just have it on here to show you. And I hopefully won't drop this because it's slippery. I usually pour it into here because it pours better. And I'll make sure I have 2 cups of tea in here, which I'm just gonna kind of guess. That's probably a cup. That's probably 2. And for every, that's about right. For every gallon of tea that you brew, you usually get 4 to 5 bottles, because 2 cups go back into the starter for the next batch. Like I said, I'm really looking into the continuous brew, where you just take off what you want, bottle it up, and then whatever you take out, then you add more sweet tea, and then it just, and stir it up, and then it builds another SCOBY. That probably would work really well for me and my family, because I drink tea all the time. My one granddaughter who lives in Cokato, she loves my kombucha. I don't like the store-bought stuff. It's not very good. I don't know. I try not to get this all full of sticky stuff. Let's see, I did have another, oh, it's this one. I was gonna say I had a towel where I could wipe my hands here. Try not to get too sticky. So that's, we're gonna do good here. So while that's brewing, then I'll take this, and I usually, in the summertime, especially when all the fruit flies are around, they love kombucha. I try to keep covers on things so that they don't get into my kombucha stuff. And this one here, it will be full if I do a double batch, and then I will take a saran wrap and put it over the top of this little container. I don't know if you can see it back there. It's just a Pyrex one with a little glass lid. If this one ever broke, I'd cry, because I use it all the time. And I like it because if I ever get a SCOBY forming on here, it is round. And a SCOBY will take the shape of the jar that it's in. And it doesn't really matter. I've cut them in half and given half to one and half to another and whatever. It doesn't matter. But they all, like I have a square jar, and it'll make a square SCOBY. But I like this one because it's round and it sort of fits in my big jar if I need to. So if I were to say I'm gonna bottle this and then I'm gonna go on vacation, or I don't wanna make this first brew today, I'll just put saran wrap over the top, stick it in there, and I have learned to put it in a pan because sometimes it's to the brim and when the SCOBY starts growing, it'll start leaking out and then make my counter all sticky in my office. So, oh well, I've learned that lesson. You'll figure it out. Your mistakes is how you learn, right?
That's right.
Okay, so then while this is brewing, I will you can put anything you want in your bottles for your second fermentation. Remember this, the more sugar, I would never use bananas. I had somebody, my first class, they tried bananas. It exploded everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, bananas are really high in sugar and it just eats bananas. I would not use bananas. I've used pomegranates, raspberries, blueberries, and I've used frozen blueberries, and that works good. But I always now, because my husband is not a tutti frutti, and I'll drink anything, I don't care. I mean, I can drink it with like this, it's good. But he won't. So my thing is ginger will cause it to get more fizz. I love the ginger flavor to it. It is not really strong. I usually do ginger and basil. This time of year, the basil is kind of yuck at the store. So I grow my own basil and then I will put it. Ginger and basil is amazing. It's the best. I don't think you need anything else, but you can experiment and pick what you like. Just remember, the more sugar it has in it, faster it will second ferment, and it could explode when you open it. So do that gently over a sink for the first few times. And we'll kind of go through that too to know when it's done being brewed. Like you can burp them after the second fermentation usually takes, I used to do 3 days. So when I first started out, it was fizzier coming out of here. It can be effervescent, and when you pour it in here, you can see it fizz. But today this one's not because it hasn't brewed long enough. But the longer you leave it capped, you can burp them, and then you kind of see if there's fizz. The more fizz it will get. And I usually do my second fermentation, like this last one I just put in the fridge. I did it almost 7 days, and I burped it a couple times, and one of them was really fizzy, so I'm like, well, I better get it in there. Sometimes I will put them, they're burping, they're fizzy, they're looking really good, I'll put them in the fridge, and then I'll take them out when there's no fizz. I just take it, sit it on the counter, I'll just cap it back up, sit it on the counter, let it warm up for a couple of days, stick it back in the fridge, and it's usually fizzier. So I can have 5 different bottles from one thing, and 3 of them will be nice and fizzy, and 2 of them won't. I don't know why that happens. I don't know if it's some of the jars or bottles can kind of let some of that out. I don't know, but I like it any way, shape, or form. I love it when it's fizzy, but I'll drink it anyway. So I just cut, usually I take all the skin off of these, but of course, you know, the reels that are on Instagram. I heard something the other day that said there's a lot of yeast in the peel of the ginger. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to cut it all off. And so I scrubbed this one down, and I get this at the co-op too. This one's kind of fat, so it probably won't fit in here. And I usually put like 3 or 4, you know, these are kind of big. So I probably put like 2 or 3 or 4 of this size, but you can do whatever you want. But they say that ginger will make it fizzier, so.
So this is a step you'd add any fruit that you want to add.
Any fruit that you want, or nothing if you don't want to. And typically what I do, I like mine a little more tart, which it kind of, the longer it brews, the first brew, the more vinegary it'll taste. It's stronger, it has more, so you kind of go with your own preference. This one tastes really good, but it was a little more on the sweet side. So I will not add a little sugar to this, but usually I brew for like 10 to 12 days on my first brew. And then it can be a little bit sour. If it's too sour, then I will add like just 1/8 of a teaspoon of just a little bit of cane sugar. And this has been my favorite. It's cheap, it's good sugar, it's, you know, organic cane sugar that's not over processed. Kirkland, I think I just bought 2 bags of them, and they were a little more expensive because everything is up, but I find that's the best value, and so far they have not had it, which really irritates me when I go there for my things and they say, we don't have that anymore. You gotta have it. So far that's been good. So I'm just gonna get 4 of these bottles ready. And to open these, if you push on the back where the spring is instead of try to pull it up like this, it's easier. Sometimes you can do both. But this one can sometimes get to the other side like that. See how this one went to the other side? And then you can't get it to snap on. They both have to be at the same side. There we go. And then come from that side. And you'll figure that out after you're frustrated and angry. You know, it is frustrating, but you figure it out. If you're mechanical like me, you figure it out. I'm a bus driver and I love pre-tripping my bus and checking the oil and doing all this stuff and driving it. So this is like right up my alley. We're just gonna start with 4. And I'm doing this bottle so you can kind of see it filling. Hopefully I won't overfill it. So let's finish putting all this in. And it's okay if you overbrew this. You want this first, your tea to be super dark. The darker the better, they say, but so you can't over tea it, I think. But
And this plugs in to heat your jar.
yeah,
to the
this is a
temperature that
wrap.
you-
Yeah, to keep the tea brewing at consistency. These are made for kombucha, so I was telling the gals before you came, I usually take a towel when I'm done and put it over the top like one of these kitchen towels, and then I have my bottles and I'll wrap them around there so they stay warm, because then they brew a little faster, the second brew. And I did this, I only had a week, I usually do 2, and I'm like, I really need this to get going, and it was low, it was like down in the, it was like 76, 77, and I like to brew it up by 86, and you can buy these online too, you don't have to have them, but they are helpful, and I had some extra ones, but I don't know, they're lost in my house, you guys, my life's been a crazy show, so I don't know where they're at, but they're nice to have. But they do, like I put it on one jar and then it came off, it got washed off, and I was crying because I'm like, no, I didn't really cry. I was a little sad because I just put it on and now it's not sticking, and what do I do with it? Throw it away? I don't know. Okay, I usually don't put this much in, but we're gonna put that, I'm gonna save these little pieces. Okay, so then I will fill them up. So there's like, I think it says like 1/2 inch to 1 inch. This is really good lighting in here, and at home I can't really see where I'm at on it. Sometimes I overfill it. So, oh, and you're supposed to stir this up.
So can you put too much fruit or something in
Yes, you can put too much fruit. If it's too much sugar, it will explode. Like,
there? Like, do you want a certain ratio of liquid to whatever you put in there?
I probably wouldn't put more than like a tablespoon or 2 of whatever, but
Okay.
some people puree. I've used whole fruits. I'm not pureed. If you puree it, it's gonna get sugarier. You guys just gotta have to experiment on your own and figure out what you like and what works.
What's
your
favorite kind that you like to use?
Ginger. I always do ginger. I don't ever wait. Sometimes I do blueberries for me because my husband's snacking. But anyway. So kind of experiment. Some people say, and it says on there too, you might want to put it in a cupboard so it does explode, and I'm thinking, yeah, and if it explodes then you get the whole cupboard to clean out, but it's better than I explode the whole room. Fill these up.
Make a mess in the garage.
Make a mess in the garage. The garage is probably too cold.
How about a Rubbermaid tote?
You could do that. You could do a Rubbermaid tote. That's
Easier
a
to
great
wash out than
idea.
a
I wouldn't even
cupboard.
think of that. Great idea. I've not ever had it explode. Now watch.
Yeah. Jinx.
Not ever. But I watch mine pretty good.
Dan and Becky is in town here, has ginger, by the way.
Yeah, the natural food co-op really has a lot of ginger. I probably buy the most of it. I want to grow ginger.
Costco also has organic ginger.
Yeah, they have it, but there's so much of it that I don't know if I would use it up. But if you wanted to buy some and split it with somebody, or you could use it. This has a little SCOBY in the bottom of it. So I'm gonna do
So
one.
you can freeze ginger too.
You can?
Yeah, shred it and freeze it.
You also can just freeze it whole, yeah.
suppose
And then you could shred it when it was frozen.
Yeah,
too.
that works
Probably
good too.
easier. You cook with it so much.
So we'll see how this
Ginger,
non-peeled
taste.
stuff does. Maybe it'll get fizzier because it'll be yeast.
Put it in a tea tray.
And usually, sometimes, a lot of times, I will have a little SCOBY form in my bottle. My husband will not drink it, and I'm like, give it here, I'll chew it up, I love it. It's kind of weird, it's a weird texture, it's real rubbery. It doesn't have it doesn't taste weird. I mean, it tastes like kombucha. But see, there's a little.
Chickens love the scobies.
They do. Chickens love scobies. You can put them in your compost. I put mine in my compost because I don't own chickens yet. I don't know if I'm gonna do chickens. Everybody's got chickens. I don't want one more thing to do. I don't even have a dog. Sorry, dog lovers. I don't have time for a dog. My life's too crazy. That one didn't get all the way filled, but that's okay. And then usually what I do before I seal them is I make sure that the top is dry and there's no like pieces of ginger or whatever on it. And I'll take and set those around this new jar. Put it in my, I have an office that I use as a pantry that's in the middle of my whole house, like in the middle of my kitchen. The living room's on one side, the entryway. And there's no windows in there. There's a little transom and then there's a curtain. That's where I brew mine. It's dark in there. You don't want them in a sunlight. You want to either put them, I think a cupboard is okay, but there's not a lot of air movement in a cupboard, so a bigger closet wouldn't be so bad. If you have a laundry room that's not full of lint, that's fine. You're going to cover up your jar anyway, but just somewhere it can have air circulation and yet be dark. You know, if you have an extra bedroom somewhere without carpet, if it explodes, or that tub, pick a dark tub. I like that he gets my humor. I love it. I love when people laugh at me. It's one of my love languages. Oh, you're funny. Yes, I am. Thank you. I am. I'm the funniest person I know. Okay. So these, like I said, 5 days. I've been going almost 7 sometimes, but I gotta check them. I think it says on the notes that you can, some people burp them. Burping them is this. It sits for a day, builds up gases, and they burp them every day before they put them in. I start burping them. Sometimes I'm really religious at burping. Sometimes I do a burp and then a couple days later. So basically the burping, I just, like I'll have them around here and I'll just come up to it and I'll burp it. I'll just do this. I put one hand here in case it wants to like start fizzing. And day 1, it won't do too much. It'll start to bubble, but like day 3, you'll see it fizz. And that's kind of how I know how much effervescence is in it and how much fizz is in it. And then when it's really fizzy, like I forgot the ones that I did last Saturday and I just put them in the refrigerator yesterday and I popped one and went psh, and I'm like, quick, shut it, put it in the refrigerator. It'll calm down a little bit in the refrigerator.
When it gets cold,
When it's cold, it'll stop fermenting. But the beautiful thing about scobies and the tea and this tea is, like I said, if I take this one out and it's not busy enough for me, I will just let it sit out for another, and I'll keep checking it, and then sometimes I'll just take it out for 4 or 5 more days, and then I'll stick it in the fridge and not check it, and usually when I go back to it, it'll be busy. Kombucha's just weird. It has a mind of its own. It's kind of like me. Some days are better than others, you know? So there's this, and we've well past our 15 minutes, so this is your second fermentation, and then we are going to fill this jar back up, and I'm not going to rinse it out. I kind of like all that stuff in there. The next thing you want to do is you got your hot tea that's in here, and these are my tools that I use always. I love them. These came with my, what do you call that thing? The Instapot. They don't get used in the Instapot. They get used making kombucha. I love it because I can squeeze my stuff. You'll see what I do. So I will take this off, and I do have the bigger one of these at home. And then I just scoop these out and I will squeeze them. And like, see, I can use the back of this and just get a little tea out of it. See, I'm just calm now that I get to do this because I love making tea. You squeeze out what you can. You can just see the beautiful orange in this tea. Look at how pretty that is. It's just gorgeous. And it smells so good, I want to drink it right now. So I'll take that out, and then you're going to add the recipe that comes with You Brew on the website says 3/4 of a cup. A lot of people say between 3/4 and 1 cup. I used to do 3/4 when it was getting plenty fizzy, but now I'm back into using a cup. You do you, boo. I mean, figure it out. It's not rocket science. It's going to be fine. This is a 1/2 cup. And I put, while this is hot, you want to put your sugar in. You probably could have done it a little earlier because it's probably cooled off. It'll take a bit for it to melt, or whatever it does. Liquidate. Dissolve. That's the word I was looking for. That's it. I need you guys around me.
It's okay, we need each other. It takes
I
a
always
village.
say it takes a village to raise a
That's
Shelley. It does. So I'll just stir that till all the sugar is dissolved. And it's going to take a little bit more because it is not as hot as it usually is. It cooled off quite a bit. It's getting there. I think we're pretty close. Yeah. Okay. And I am not going to pour this in here because this spout is awful. So what I usually do is I take some of this. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to just see how hot it is. Cool it off. It's pretty hot yet. It's past 40, so pretty hot. We're just going to take, I just usually take a couple of these. They don't spill too much. Once I get this down a little farther,
Are you
I
just
can pour it.
tempering the glass right now?
No, I'm doing it so it doesn't spill. If I were to just pour it out of here, it'd go all over the table and all over the tablecloth. Because these Pampered Chef things are wonderful, but they don't pour with it.
I agree.
Whoever invented them, we all have that trouble in our kitchen.
I know.
Couldn't they figure
Once
out
you get it
a
a
spout?
little like halfway, now watch, it won't work. It usually, and if you pull it slow enough, there you go. That's not the guy again, is it? That little flyer. All right, so that's in there. And then you add, before you put your tea in, because this is too hot, I'm gonna add, is it 8 cups of water? 'Cause
But
I
it
doubled
says
it.
8 cups, approximately.
Yeah, approximately 8. Sometimes I do a little less if I have a large amount of SCOBY. But this one I don't have a large amount of SCOBY because I split them all up and made more. So add water to it. You're gonna water it down. This is my filtered water I took out of my fridge. Hopefully that'll chill it out enough so we can add the SCOBY. See, it's really not hard, you guys. It's just a lot of little things. And it does take a while for your brain. When I first started doing this, I'm like, this is so much. And now it's just second nature. Like sourdough bread. I mean, when you first start making it, it's like, oh my gosh, and this is awful. It took me like over a year to master the sourdough. This didn't take that long. So you will get used to it. Yeah. I'm just gonna see how hot it is. This little tape that's on here is not down into the tea, so of course this is only Celsius, but I think we're good because it's not going past 30, which 32 is 90 degrees, so I think we're gonna be fine. So now, that's good. I can add my tea and my SCOBY. And I'm actually gonna just pour in the tea first. See how nice this one pours?
It's a bowl.
And it's a bowl. It's not even designed. Pampered Chef should take some tips on this guy. And I'm just gonna stir that a little bit. And I'm making a big old mess. And then I'm gonna add my SCOBYs. And this was the last SCOBY that was formed, this beautiful, nice, clear one. Usually they're about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch thick when I'm done with the first ferment. But like I said, I needed probably another week on this one, but it'll still be good. That's why I didn't add sugar to this. If I would have waited another week, and it would have been a little more sour, which I like it that way. I think it gets a little fizzier. I would add just a little bit of sugar in that funnel, so it kind of gets poured down in, you know, so if you put it in there and then it gets stick to the side, then you can do that. So I'm gonna put the ugly one in first. This is the oldest one, and I love this old one because it'll get stringy looking. This one doesn't get real stringy because I took a lot of the SCOBYs out. But your SCOBY is gonna like look like nasty. You're gonna think it's snotty, it's gross, it's not good. If you don't see any bubbling mold on the top of it, your SCOBY is just fine. So we're gonna put the SCOBYs in. And these are sinking because it's a little cold. Usually things aren't so cold, and this one, I don't know, I almost killed it because I covered it up with that towel and it got a little warm, but then I read something and said it takes like 115 degrees to kill all your bacteria and your yeast in there, so that one might float. What'll happen is they may stay at the bottom, but once I get it wrapped and start to warm, your SCOBYs will come back up to the top. And then I will put this in my office. Well, not yet. Then I I keep reusing these. I take 2 coffee filters, and I did bring that in here if you wanted to do it. I take 2 coffee filters, and usually my jars aren't all sticky and gross, you guys, but you just gotta remember that there's no water here, and there's a bat. So I take that, and then I like, do I have one? I should, because I popped it out, but I think I threw it away. Oh, here we go. I buy the file folder rubber bands. They're the greatest. I double them up, and then I put them around the top. I usually put the date on it. And I don't know if I have my marker with me or not. Oh, look at here. Look at how good I did packing the other day. So today is 1/27, 25. Yeah, you gotta put the year. You just never know how long you're gonna fall asleep. Hey, I left a little. Let's put this in here. There we go. Sorry about that. I missed a little dollop for you. Then I will bring this into my office. And I like to make sure this rubber band is in a groove because I had trouble with fruit flies this year. And they gathered on the top of this, and it drove me nuts. I'd come and like smack and try it. And so then I started putting a towel over the top, but they still would gather on the top of that towel. They love the smell of this. And then I will put the wrap on. And of course it's in my little office area, so I have a great plug-in cord there next to my printer. It's a /office pantry mess. It's a mess.
Multi-purpose room.
It's a piling system right now. There's a good piling system with all my mom's stuff for her estates all in there. I don't really like this thing, but it's okay. It takes a knack.
So
Yeah.
is there, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Question.
So what's a good amount of SCOBY? Because, you know, they keep building, right? So you must eventually peel some
You
off.
know,
or...
eventually, yeah. I don't like it to get more than like 1.5 inches or 2 inches. Because the last time I did it, and see this one's a little full. I usually only fill it to here because if you have a lot of SCOBY, then that SCOBY will come and it'll start to push up out of the thing. And then it'll touch the top of that. I don't like when that happens, but there's not a lot of SCOBY in here, so it'll probably just be okay. And
So
if not, whatever.
does it probably brews faster then if there's more SCOBY? Or?
It does, because when I was making the extra SCOBYs, and I had like this many in one of these jars, a whole bunch of them, and then I added more tea to it, sweet tea, that brewed really fast. Like it got lighter faster, and it's ready to go. Like that would have been a great ferment tea, but I put them in bags. So then I'll bring this into my office, plug it in, and then what I do, I have 2 of them. And then I just gather these little chicks and hens, you know, around the hen. The little chicks go around the hen. And then I will usually, don't take a bath towel because I did that and almost killed it. It got too hot. And then I just cover it up with one of the great big towels. And that just kind of holds the heat all in around it. You don't have to do that. I just started doing that. And then I thought, oh, it'll go faster if I put a bath towel on. And then I'm like, holy crap, it's 90 degrees. I gotta get it off. And then, yeah. So hopefully this will brew because this one got up to 90 degrees. Those did not because I didn't have those wrapped and covered. So. All right, so that is it for that. And so, what am I forgetting? Tasting this is how you know when it's ready to go. It's personal preference. Like I said, this wasn't too terribly sweet. Usually I don't like it real sweet. I'm not a sweet tea drinker, and I like more effervescence. So I kind of wait for mine to get a little, see the color of this one's a little lighter. It'll even get lighter than this. But see how dark this is compared to this one? I mean, so they lighten up. And I usually go by color. That's how I know that mine's getting close to tasting and trying it. So the lighter it gets, you know you're ready to put it into the bottle. But it's not rocket science, you guys. It's trial and error, and it'll taste good no matter what. And you'll just try it, and you'll find ways. Yes.
So the color indicates how sweet or sour it is, or it just
How
indicates
sour.
it's
The lighter it gets, the more sour it's going to be. In my little office that I walk by, my pantry office / everything room, it smells like kombucha, and I love it. It smells like I walk in my bathroom. Kombucha's doing well. So it'll get stronger as it brews, and you'll be able to smell it. And the longer you brew it, the more you kind of get to know color, smell, taste. You just know when it's ready. You do. Like, it reminds me, hey, you better put me in bottles because I'm getting kind of sour. And if I go too long with it, then you can just split it up or make scobies or hand them out or add more sweet tea to it or take some out and add some more sweet tea. You can do that too. I mean, it's really forgiving and it's really easy to do. It is. It takes, like I said, a little bit of a knack to do it.
Can you drink it at the first step?
Yes,
and not
some
ferment it
people
again?
don't even second bottle it. You certainly can. It's warm. I don't mind warm liquid. My husband would never drink it first batch. And like I said, when I first started doing it, the first couple of years, when I poured it into that cracky thing there that I have, that I'll never get rid of. I have 2 of those actually, 2 of those cracked pieces, but they don't leak. I think they're decent. I would pour it in, and it would just effervescence. And sometimes it does do that. And I don't know what it is. I do find if I use the more orange tea, that orange cocoa or that black Ceylon tea, it will get fizzier. I don't know if that's true or not. But anything else I forgot? These are just some extra little things I bought online when I probably should. I was gonna look into getting some new rubber things, but you can get extra lids if you can get them out for your jars. The clear ones work better with a full-on plug on it, and then some of them that I ordered, they just go over the top. They're just rings, and these have just the rings. These I got at thrift store. I'm having a hard time finding them at thrift stores. But some people will start it up, like half you will like it, you'll go buy the stuff, and then you'll say, I don't like it, and you'll put it in the thrift store, and then it'll be good for all the people that want to start.
That's right.
So, that's true, true story. So, yeah, and the jars, like I said, if you guys want to buy these gallon jars, I will order them from Uline for you. I have an account there. I pay like $9 a jar, you know, and they're like $15, $18 online. I don't know why they're so stinking expensive. These come with you can get them with metal, but I don't like the metal because it rusts, so I just get the plastic. I don't even use the lids. I transported it with the lid, but now this one, when I transport this, I'm gonna take this off. Oh, the other thing too, is once you get it in this jar, leave it. Don't touch it, don't stir it, just leave it for a good 5 days. And after about 5 days, you're gonna see that beautiful scope. You know, you did everything right. I've never killed one yet, so honestly, I
You have 3 scobies in there now?
There's 3 pieces of them, yeah, and
So,
the ones,
Is
yeah.
it gonna add to these 3, or is it gonna
Yes,
make a new one?
it will add. If these pop back to the top, they kind of stick to each other, and so I sort of peeled them apart. That's why they were torn a little bit. Sometimes if they're so stuck, I'll just take a scissor and cut a big chunk off of one and give them away. But yeah, so like this one you can see is a pretty full size one, you know, and I double bagged them in case one of the bags was leaking a little bit. Yeah, so they're just all different shapes, and then I do have, if you want, you can take one of these, but there's the rubber band, there's a couple of those tea bag things in there, and some of the filters. You don't have to use a coffee filter if you want to just put a towel over the top and tie it with something or put a rubber band on it. This is just easy for me.
So
It just
how long do you heat that?
How long this sits, this will be going, probably, I'll do it, it says 7 to 10 days, but I usually go about 2 weeks with mine. I like it where it's light, and I like it, and it's all personal preference. I wouldn't touch it till after 7 days. I wouldn't try it until you see that it's obviously lighter than it was when you started.
And you keep the wrap on the whole time?
Yes, I do. I mean, if I want to go in here and once that SCOBY is formed, like today when I brought it in, it had fallen because it was in the car and it was jostling around and it got cold. I will take, like this jar does not have a spigot on it. I know, it's so sad. I lost that one. He died. I would take in, just take like a turkey baster and go down underneath the SCOBY. I wouldn't push it down. I just kind of shove it over. It doesn't stick to the side. It's just like this loose gel. It's kind of like a gel thing in your shoe, but it's not a shoe thing. It has that consistency. It's kind of gel-like. Yeah.
If you took a SCOBY home tonight.
Yeah.
And didn't have time to get to it till the weekend.
You can take this SCOBYs and you can put them in your refrigerator until you want to get to them. You can put them on your counter. It's probably going to start forming another SCOBY over the top of it. It will go dormant in your refrigerator. That's perfectly fine. Last time I did a class, I started making SCOBYs and putting them in the refrigerator for like 2 weeks. And then when I had them, they worked fine. You just got to let them warm up, come back to temperature, and then when you add the other tea, it'll come back to life again and the bacteria will start working again. You don't want to freeze it, obviously. Yeah, that's why I don't know. Some people say, you can kill your SCOBY if it gets too cold. No, you can't. I put mine in the fridge all the time. All the time I put it in the refrigerator. You put these in the refrigerator and they don't get fizzy. You take them out and they start bubbling again. You can put them back in the refrigerator. And then it's just, I don't know. It's pretty hard pressed to kill it in the cold. I mean, unless you put it out in the snow in the cold. But yeah. So this one's got a nice little fat SCOBY in. Some have a few pieces that I did. Yeah, this one has a couple different pieces in it. But yeah.
So if you do get like contamination or it goes bad, like how would you know?
Well, it'll look different. Like the one I threw out, it was kind of, it didn't look like mold on the top, but it was bumpy. It just was. You can go online and look at pictures of SCOBYs, but it'll smell different. It won't, like I added sugar tea to it and it did nothing. And so then I just threw the whole kit and caboodle out. But that's the first time in all these years I've ever had to throw it away. But I had that one for a long time. And some people say to not seal them. Some people did this. I saran wrapped some and they lasted fine. Yeah, I guess if it looks like there's mold growing on it, and it smells like not the good kombucha smell, which you'll get used to that, then I wouldn't use it if it looks different. But usually they're smooth, and I mean they have a different shape to them, but they're like that gel consistency. This one the hotel that I was growing for a while, it just didn't look right, and I'm like, I'm not chancing it, and I just threw it out. So And when I added, like I said, I added tea to it and then it still wasn't performing, so I just pitched it all. And that was like 2 or 3 months ago, or when we first talked, I started to get that hotel going, so.
So you use black tea, but can you use green tea also?
Maybe you could try it. I wouldn't. I would use black tea. There's not, the caffeine gets eaten by the yeast and the bacteria, so, the good bacteria. So I've never had, I don't drink coffee. I drink some tea and some green tea in the morning, and so it's not really caffeinated. If there's caffeine in it, it's very, very minimal once it gets to the second stage. If you drink it, maybe the first one, it might have a little more caffeine. But like, I'm not a scientist. I never tested it, so you can look that up online. That's your job. You research that.
I'll do that, Report back to Susan.
You research that. So anything else?
So one thing too,
Yes.
so just to know, like, when it's too acidic. So I'm the type of person who will, like, I can eat or drink something thinking like, oh, this is good for me. I'm just gonna keep drinking it. But I think one time mine got too acidic and I
Yes.
probably shouldn't have drank
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
It can
so,
be. If
yeah.
it's too sour, definitely.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is just, start a batch over again. And I've actually had scobies that were in the hotel, and the juice or the tea that was in there, the starter tea, was very sour. And I'm like, ooh. But I used a smaller amount of that and put it with the sweet tea, and it turned out fabulous. It was fine. So you would just have to add more sweet tea to it and sweeten it up a little bit, and it probably will ferment a lot faster. Like, it'll turn lighter, your SCOBY will grow faster. It's just cool because it's like this living thing, and it is, and it's kind of has a personality of its own. It's so weird because I will do 2 side by side, same things. I would do it all in one big, the double size bad pouring thing of this, and do my 2 things, and they'll turn out tasting totally different and react totally different. I'm like, what did I do? I used 2 different jars. I mean, I used the same water. I don't know. So it's just it kind of has its own personality. I don't know, if these jars or bottles are different. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But it's like I said, it's not rocket science. It takes a lot to really ruin things. And if you're not really sure, snap a picture, send it to me. I'll look at it, or I can smell it for you, or whatever. There's a lot of good help online. I honestly, I am self-taught basically, because I just research it and look at it and try it and trial and error, and I've been doing it for many years. So
How did you get started with it? Like,
my son-in-law had scobies. His brother sent him one. He goes, "You want one of these? They just keep growing." And I'm like, "Sure, I'll take one." And it was history. And that one sat in a bag on my counter for 2 to 3 weeks. I didn't even put it in the fridge before I could wrap my head around it, because I had to how do I do this? So I just started looking, and I had a couple jars at home that are bottles. That one with the spigot was my, sun tea one that you used to be able to get with the plastic spigot was so nice. I don't know. So I just kind of had some of the things. I ordered some of the things and started on my way. So
what if you don't have enough starter with your SCOBY?
it can still work. It's said in here too, and I've not done this, but other people have. Say I only have 1 cup of starter. Maybe one of the bags leaked on the way home, or who knows. You can go buy kombucha in the store, but make sure it says raw kombucha, and you can use that to add to it. Yes, and some people have even started their tea with that. My son claims he did, but I don't believe it because I didn't see it. But
Couldn't you use half of the rest of the recipe if you only had half of the?
yeah. Yes, you can, and it even says that on the instructions. If you only have enough to do 2 cups of tea and do a half a thing, only one cup of starter tea, and then just make 2 cups of that and go for it. Yeah. So, how did we do? Hell, I might get to bed before I have to get up at the crack of dawn.
got a question in the back here.
Oh, question. Yes.
Do you use agave or honey or anything like that?
I don't know. I read something about that. I would research that. I know that it said something in here about using
I
honey.
looked that up about honey, so
I
think
probably
people use honey.
wouldn't.
Right.
I
because
don't
there's
think
the
you
risk
can.
of botulism, so. Or is it botulism?
Where is it? I
Yeah.
know it said something about
Yeah.
it. Oh, honey, it
Yeah.
says right here, number 2 under instructions for the first brew, it says to add 1, excuse me, 3/4 to 1 cup of cane sugar. And then it says organic, not organic is fine. Honey, brown sugar, molasses, stevia, aspartame, and any other sugar substitutes or sweeteners will not work. That's what it says. So I've never tried it. This lady, this You Brew Kombucha lady, she's pretty knowledgeable. And like I said, most people can go on computers now. It's very intuitive. You can skip to anything. You can ask the questions. How do I know this? How do I grow a hotel? She's very intuitive. But there's a lot of sites now that lead you. Some of them give a little different things, but mostly it's pretty basic. It's, kind of like the dentist, They all practice a little different, but they do the same thing, type of thing. So, I worked for a dental office for many years, so I can say that. Yes.
And I would just say, if you're concerned about the sugar in your kombucha, it gets eaten
It
up.
gets eaten up.
Like,
It's
you're
not,
actually
yes.
drinking the sugar,
Yes.
because I can't have refined
Right.
sugar, but I can drink the
Yes.
sugar.
And the
You don't
longer
need
you
the
ferment
alternatives.
it, the less sugar is in it.
Yes.
So the more sour it is, the less sugar it is. So if you're concerned about that, I would make it a little more on the sour side and just add like 1/8 a teaspoon of sugar when you put it in, so then it'll get and it'll eat that sugar that you add to it. But it does help. It's really kind of the coolest thing ever. So yeah, things I wouldn't live without is this long bottle brush. And when I'm done with this, I empty out my, the chunks that are in there, the ginger chunks. And then I put super hot water with just a little tiny bit of, I don't use Dawn dish soap. I don't like that kind of stuff. I use like more of a natural dish soap. And then I fill it up and then I just scrub it all out. And then I rinse it and let it fill in hot, just super hot. And then I have one of those things that expand over the top of your sink with the grate, and then I just shove the bottles upside down so they drip and dry, and then I store them in my cupboard so they don't get dusty. And I usually store them with the lids open, so if there is any more moisture in there, it dries and doesn't get moldy.
So when you're ready to drink kombucha tomorrow morning, are you drinking out of one of these bottles?
Yes.
It's done and you put it in the fridge and
Once it's done, after this is like 12 days, 2 weeks. This is about a week. Put it in the fridge and it's cold usually. And then I usually drink only half of one a day. Sometimes I drink more, but they say more than 8 ounces really isn't good for you. Some people say that. So I usually split it. But if my husband's not home and he doesn't want the other half, I'll just put it back in the fridge and drink it later. Sometimes I'll leave it out and it gets a little fizzier and I better put this and get it cold. I can drink it warm. I like it warm. Some people don't. So a lot of good questions, you guys.
So how about during summer then? You probably don't use the heating wrap. Or
I do
you?
because I have air conditioning going on in my
okay,
house.
sure.
But in the summer, if you have no air conditioning or have a room that's set off that gets kind of warm, that's not real bright, you don't need to use the wrap. These are really cheap. I think you get like a whole thing full. Of course, I bought mine 7 years ago when everything's doubled. I think I got a pack of 5 or 10 for like $5 or something.
Thermometer stickies.
Thermometer stickies. And they have some that run up and down. I like this one because I like to wrap the up and down ones get covered by my wrap, but it's up to you. I've seen people put them on the mats, that propagation mats, that heat up. You can stick them on there, but then it only heats from the bottom. I do like wraps. These were very inexpensive.
Where did you find that wrap?
It's at that kombucha, that website on there.
On the back
No,
page.
not You Brew Kombucha, but it's
On the bottom at the back
It's
page.
on the bottom of that last page.
oh, you got it right here.
Yes, the kitchen tools.
Kitchen tools.
They'll set you up for the whole thing. You can buy a SCOBY there and everything, but.
You can tell you can get a
they'll ship
picture
it
that
to you.
pours, huh?
What's that?
You can get a thing that pours.
Maybe. But I like this one. I like the fact it's got a lid to it,
Yeah.
and I can cover it up, and then don't have to, I can walk away from it, and it's got a lot of good things about it.
You probably can't use plastic, but my plastic Tupperware 4-cup measure,
Yeah.
like the glass
You
one,
could use it for the measuring, yes.
Pour is way better.
Yes,
than the
you could
plastic.
use it for the measuring. I mean, and
I
that's
ran
fine.
it one time.
If you
And
wanna
that's
use
one.
plastic,
Yeah.
it's fine.
And as a cover.
I wouldn't
Idaho
use a
that
metal.
makes the big
I just
ceramic
wouldn't
ones.
use
Ooh,
like a
the
metal.
lid and
This
pours
does
right
not get stirred in there, it just pours my sugar, so I'm fine with that, but.
Is there anything?
Alright,
so
anything else?
I would use tongs to get my SCOBY out. Is
You
there
could
anything
use
against
tongs.
that with the metal or?
You
get
can.
silicone
I mean, as long
tongs.
as it's not
Or
soaking in
silicone,
it, you
yeah.
could. You could use
Or
tongs, but they're
plastic.
very
I have
slippery.
plastic.
Have you brewed it before?
Silicone.
Yes,
So,
yeah, and they
yeah.
were kind of metal grippy, so I had to
Yeah.
squeeze really hard.
You can.
So,
And
but yeah,
but just make sure that your hands, you're not using an antibacterial soap when you wash your hands. That will kill it if you're gonna grab your scobies out. And like I said, if you're gonna use gloves like I did today, which is, I've been using gloves because I'm trying to get rid of the two, I got one here and one here. The cracks that winter brings you. Just make sure that your hands are rinsed really, really well from all the soap, and then dry them off really good with paper towels. I typically wash my hands and almost keep the water running all while I'm doing this, so that I don't have to keep touching the. I worked at a dental office, so I think of like transferring of germs, So that goes through my mind too. So, but so far I haven't gotten sick. Nobody's died. Everything's been good. So.
That's a plus.
Yeah. So if you want a SCOBY, let me know. And
Grab
you've
your
got my
SCOBY.
phone number. If you have any questions, you can text me anytime. I mean, I do drive a bus for a living, so my phone's off, certain hours of the day. So yeah, if there's anything else.
Do you
I
have a
just-
list for like the jars and the tea? That if you really want
The jars and the tea, I do not, as far as, these bottles, yeah, I did bring a thing for that. I did.
so I just want to say too, so I did brew for a little while,
Yeah.
and I thought it was really fun. I'm an experimenter too, so, but like with the second fermentation,
Mhm.
you can infuse different things
Oh,
like
lots.
dandelion petals
Yes.
or nettle or, just to get
You can even
more-
put vegetables, like I use
Yeah.
basil leaves, and that's good.
Yeah,
Rosemary
herbs.
would be amazing in
Yeah.
there. I mean, just to give it that. Anything that you think that you want, I mean, if you like broccoli, throw some broccoli in there, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not gonna hurt it, I mean, it's gonna ferment it, so.
That'd be really good.
But, I just make sure that I clean it really well,
Oh, yeah.
but even though it
Marshmallow
will
root.
eat bacteria, because it's yeasty and bacteria-ish, so. I did bring, here it is, right here. So, yeah, if you want me to get you these, actually, if I bought them today before 6 o'clock, they'd be at my house within 48 hours. They're at my house. It's the strangest thing ever. That is the best. The U-Line is the best company. They do a great job, but I had to buy them in packs of 4. So if I can get, I think I have 1 jar left at home, maybe 2, but I like having the gallon jars because I use them for a lot of things. So, okay. Anything else?
Thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was good to get out of my poor me head. I told my husband I have pity parties for one all the time.
I want to give this guys the back up there.